second part of Learning Unit 1. And in the second part of Learning Unit 1, I'll go through some of the major project management concepts that's part of this very interesting module. So one of the major things is, as in the first part, I chatted through understanding the client and understanding the client's expectations, but part of a project also has stakeholders outside of just the client or the sponsor. They also include the team, the project team themselves, subcontractors that you might be using, and suppliers are all part of the stakeholders. And as a project manager, your most important role is to manage these stakeholders, to manage their expectations, to manage their outputs, to understand what their needs are. And at times you may feel as a project manager that you are a babysitter and you're looking after all of their needs and not your own. But that is essentially what a project manager is. It's almost very much like looking after a class creche in which everybody is running in different directions. And it is your job to make sure that they're all moving in the same direction, because everyone from suppliers to subcontractors to the project team to the customer or the sponsor of the project, they all have different expectations. They all have different realities, and they all have different things priorities they think that's important. Whereas the customer think that the outcome is the most important thing. The project team is their priorities are more everyday. What do I need to do for today? Do I have the resources? Do I have sufficient time to complete what I need to do? Subcontractors are going, you know what, the longer I draw out this project, the more I'll get paid, and you have to manage those expectations. Suppliers say, you know, the more I can sell you, the more money I make. So each one of these stakeholders have very different expectations, and you have to manage those expectations in order to ensure that the project moves forward and ultimately reach the goal that you signed up for the project to complete. Other stakeholders would be organizations or groups. They might be supportive, or they might be adversarial. They want to be kept informed because of the potential impact, especially if you're looking at these massive infrastructure projects. So, for instance, I was now talking about a game design or piece of software, and then I was talking about advertising. But there are these massive infrastructure projects: building a bridge, building a road, building a dam, building a new power station. All of these have massive, massive implications. And there's organizations that are a stakeholder, that's internal stakeholder, meaning that they are directly engaged with the project, but there's also external stakeholders, which are secondary stakeholders. These are the community at large. These might be the government or the local government that you're operating in. So when you engaging your stakeholders, it's not just your internal stakeholders that are directly engaged with the project, but also your external secondary stakeholders, which need to be informed, that needs to be told what is going on, and so forth. That is why it is so important that you create a stakeholder register, that you know that who the stakeholders are, that you include all the key information, and that you also log issues. We recently had a massive road that's being built in our area where I live, and it is about widening the road, and it will relieve congestion. And it's, on the face of it, it's a good thing. But then there are certain things which are not so good about it. First of all, it will go through a wetland area. So I live in an area of Cape Town where we have lots of people that are very, very vociferous and very invested in the environment. And so we had a whole lobby group coming up against the project. And then we had another community which is most impacted by the terrible traffic in the morning. They saying, push on forward, never mind the frogs, never mind, the wetland. It's about us, and it's about the economic activity. In the mornings, we have to leave an hour before the time because of this particular congestion that's taking place so heavily. And then we had another group of people that was going to be removed from this, the space where they're living at the moment in order to make way for this road. And through this entire process, it's taken 2 years now. I must say that the project managers that's been running this project has been very good in making sure that the community knows what is going on. They had a website, they had a Facebook page, they had regular community engagement and meetings and so forth in order to tell us what is going on, in order to let us know what is going on. And that has made a big difference in terms of not everybody's priorities were met, not everybody's wants were met, but just by sharing the information, we were given an opportunity to voice our concerns at least, and in such a way, at least we were heard and we weren't just being ignored. So whether you're running an advertising campaign, whether you're creating a piece of software for a client, whether you are building a dam, all of these are projects, and each one of them have stakeholders, and part of your job as a project manager is to engage with those stakeholders. So project management within a global context, and this is quite interesting. So if you are looking at becoming a project manager, if you are doing this course and you're going, oh, this is quite interesting, this is something I'm going to do one day, and also do realize that a lot of work, and this is interesting, I read such a great article about Siemens that have decided that they're going to encourage people to work from home. They're going to encourage people to work from home, and they're going to shift their culture from a hours at work, from clocking time, to a project-based culture, meaning that everything that they do is going to be based on outcomes. So if you are given a task and you complete a task in 2 days, you can have the rest of the week off because you've completed your task. And if you choose to work for 12 hours or 14 hours straight to complete the task, then tomorrow you can have the day off because your next task only starts the day after that. And this is such an interesting way of looking at work as opposed to the old traditional way of working. So project management as a way of working, as a way of doing things, as a way of viewing the world has become a lot more prevalent than it has ever been before. And it raises some interesting questions. So in terms of what you need to have a global awareness. You need to understand cultural differences. You need to understand currencies, codes, and regulations. You need to have very good understanding of what the requirements are of different business organizations, political relationships, as well as workforce availability. And all of these things are driving sort of project management principles worldwide. In terms of the competencies that you might need, foreign language definitely, which again is not a requirement, but it will help you connect if you're working in a different area or in a different part of the world. You need to have a good understanding and empathy for different cultures, for geography, world history and contemporary events, as well as international economics. So a project manager requires a breadth and a depth of knowledge outside of just the particular project that they're working on. And they must also have a high level of emotional awareness, meaning they need to understand who they are, they need to be in control of their emotions, they need to be able to lead a team. Sometimes a project manager is even the least qualified. And when I say qualified, big infrastructure project, there will be highly qualified structural engineers, highly qualified civil engineers, highly qualified engineers, people with many, many years of experience. But the person running the project is a qualified and seasoned project manager. They might not be an engineer, but they know how to build a road or they know how to build a dam because they understand the principles of how to manage the project. So at times you have to have these high levels of awareness that you know that you might not have the best qualifications or the most qualifications in the room, but ultimately you are the project manager and you need to command that respect from your team. Because if your team isn't going to respect you, then they are not going to work to their best ability and be objectives. You must be technology savvy. You should be able to use technology, be able to use technology to your advantage, especially with major projects where you have to track every part of the project, especially things like tracking of time, tracking of resources, understanding when things need to be done and who needs to do it. So how do you go about developing project management skills? So there is PMBOK, which is a project management organization which has been around for many, many years. They issue certifications. It is the Project Management Institute. They're based in the United States, and they are a worldwide nonprofit association of practitioners. And you have an opportunity to write an exam each year and be certified as a certified project manager. And what that does is it allows you to be able to add that certification onto your qualifications as well. So, and what they do as well, what PMBOK does is they allow for consistency, they allow for standardization, and they also allow for some sort of certification where you would be able to show these are my certified credentials, and this allows me to work in a project management environment or as a project manager or as a project supervisor. And it also gives a code of ethics and professional conduct, which is important within the industry. So that brings an end to this first chapter, and it was really introduction through understanding the difference between project management and what a project is, the different project lifecycle and the different elements within the project planning process, and then we chatted very briefly around project management within the global context, and also some of the things and some of the competencies that you might need if you choose to become a project manager. Thank you.